So, Dr. Damina, you don't agree that a pastor should teach business in church? I said, do they teach the Bible in business schools? Do they teach the Bible in business schools? If they don't teach the Bible in business schools, why should the church be teaching business? It means we don't know our work. It means the business school people know their job better than us. They don't teach it in business school, but we are teaching it in church, which is sacred. The pulpit ought to be the pillar and the ground of the truth, the mainstay where the truth is dispensed. And the truth is not just teaching, the truth is a person. I am the truth. That means the pulpit is where Jesus is dispensed. Jesus is dispensed. So every time we gather, what are we expecting? Jesus to be dispensed. How many of you went to university to go and hear lecturers make you laugh? Your father paid school fees to send you to school for your lecturer to just be making you laugh. He comes to class, does comedy. Every student will laugh and fall on the ground. Then he will throw the chalk on them. See you tomorrow. Nobody went to school for that. If that happens, you will protest. Because that's not why I'm here. Why did you come to church? To hear Christ. Then you come and you hear soap making. Steps to cryptocurrency. Forex trading in the digital era. Which verse are you quoting from? If I want to do forex, there are people that are making millions in forex. I will go to them to teach them because they have the experience. You don't even know how to touch the system. Those are extracurricular materials. It's not for the pulpit of God. The church is a place where we dispense Christ. Somebody shout, I hear you. So they continued in the... Now, once it is not Christ alone, it is not apostolic. Once it is not Christ alone, it is not apostolic. Hence, it should not be dispensed in the church. The guy said to me, okay, what about if you have church members who are poor? Shouldn't you be concerned enough to organize for them to be taught how to make money? I said, no, that's not the job of the pulpit. That's not the job of the pulpit. The job of the pulpit is to feed you Christ, so you know him enough to have a vibrant relationship with him. No extracurricular materials allowed. Then he said to me, well, Dr. Damina, so are you saying that the churches that teach that? I said, what were the messages in the early church? We're learning from the apostles. What were the messages? First message on the day of Pentecost. Christ died, was buried. On the third day, he rose. Acts chapter 3. After the healing of the lame man, Peter was explaining, Christ died, he was buried. On the third day, he rose. The third message, Acts chapter 5, verse 42. Daily in the temple and from house to house, they cease not to preach and teach Jesus Christ. Fourth message, Stephen standing before the mammoth crowd that wanted to kill him at the point of death. Christ died, was buried. On the third day, he rose. Fifth message, Philip went down to Samaria to preach Christ. To preach Christ. And the whole city had Christ. Fourth message, Peter in the house of Cornelius. Christ died, was buried. On the third day, he rose. I'm teaching good here. What was the second message? Paul, Christ died, was buried. On the third day. Those are the first 7 messages of the church. It sets the template for what should be taught in the church. No apostle taught business. No apostle taught skills. And no apostle motivated people. Motivation is not the gospel. If a man has to motivate you, then what is the Holy Ghost inside you doing? The believer does not need motivation. How do you get motivated? But ye beloved. But ye beloved. But ye beloved. Yananana shokola. Building up your most holy faith. Rising higher and higher. Like an alemano shakatatale. Somebody shout Holy Ghost. Please, you can be seated. I don't need somebody to motivate me. The motivator lives inside me.